Morning. Welcome to Studio Nicole. I'm Nicole, and I'm so glad that you're here. Today, I am going to be decorating the front and back of this empty notebook that is going to become my 2026 weekly creative journal. So this is my 2025 journal, and it's the exact same notebook. Them. I love these pages. They're gorgeous. The colors. And so you can see I have gone through and pasted in a ton of videos and gosh, not videos. I wish I could put videos in a journal. That would be awesome. I just need like QR codes that link to the videos, I guess. I could probably do that. Um, so pictures, but also, stickers and tip-ins and all kinds of other things. This is my weekly creative journal. I do one of these each week. That's kind of come loose. I do a page or a spread each week and sort of document my life this way. The cover of this was done with alcohol inks and um and then acrylic ink and some black gesso and some stencils. There's some handwriting in some places. There's some mark making. Um, Lots of like gold. It's very shimmery, very shiny. The back was done in a very similar way. It looks like um It looks like the way like an agate or a geode or something looks like how the colors sort of fade into each other and then there's this like detailing between it. Anyway, I know there's a glare. I'm trying to tilt it so the glare is not on the screen. Anyway, I want to do the same thing on here. I might change my colors just a little bit. There's like big chunks of like green and yellow. I think I'm going to lean in more to the purple, pink, and blue for this one. And I'm probably going to use different words and different images. I pulled these out. So I have this stencil that says love life, and I have these like birds on a wire. It's kind of hard to see birds on a wire stencil. So I think that's what I'm going to do for this one. Um, and I don't have a video documenting the process for how I did this. And so I want to share that today in a video so that you can follow along and recreate this technique if that's something that you would be interested in doing. I have had a couple of requests on how to do that. So that's my plan for today. I've been working in my studio for the last week or so, trying to gather supplies for an in person journal making workshop that I'm teaching. And my studio is an absolute wreck. I have pulled out every supply that I have, and it's everywhere. Stuff piles on the floor, piles on every part of my desk, piles in front of my desk. I have boxes of stuff and bins, and everything is open and spilled out everywhere. It's going to take me forever to clean up. But it has been fun to go through like all of the stuff that I have like tucked away that I don't use every day, just kind of to remind myself of what I have here. So that has been fun. But I haven't done a whole lot else in the studio because I've been, we are back in class on campus. I teach English at a community college, and our classes started last week. So there's a lot of like first week craziness that has to happen. I've just been covering this with gesso. This is what I have handy, or acrylic gesso. I have used different kinds of gesso. I'm not fussy about it. I'll use pretty much anything. I can say the one gesso that I got that I didn't like was the Liquitex Basics. I think you need a little bit more something opacity. It's too it's too like transparent and doesn't cover enough if you're trying to like cover up. Now, not all gesso does. You can obviously still see notebook and whatnot behind this. For this project, it doesn't matter so much. I just want something for the paint to stick to, since the actual cover is like very shiny, glossy. It's not plastic, it's paper, but it's very glossy paper. So the colors I'm going to put on are not going to stick unless I give it some tooth, which is what gesso does to the paper. It gives it something for the paint to stick to. Um, so I'm going to pause you for just a second and dry this because I do need to use my heat gun and it's going to be loud. So after drying this with my heat gun, I can really see that there are some places that are still shiny and I didn't, the coverage is not complete. So I'm just going to pause it again, do one more coat and dry it, and I will be back. Okay, I am back and I have the front covered. I just did a second coat to make sure that there weren't any like shiny spots that were still showing through. I don't care so much about being able to see through the gesso. It doesn't need to be completely opaque, but I want to make sure there's at least enough coverage that the ink will stick. I also did the back off camera, just because all I'm doing is just, putting gesso on the paper. It's not like super interesting and I don't necessarily need to talk through it. So I wasn't too worried about the spine. It did get some gesso on it, sort of as collateral damage, but I don't really care either way. I'm not gonna look at the spine. I don't even know what the spine looks like. Yeah, you can still see like the original. Um, this is what the notebook looked like before I painted it. See, I never look at the spine. I'm not worried about it. All right, so the next step. Now, in the first one that I just did, the one I just showed you, it was the first time I'd ever done anything like this, and I was just kind of experimenting and like planning it out, um, kind of step by step as I went. And I started by putting down watercolors, and then the watercolors weren't vibrant enough, so I started adding in these alcohol inks. Now, these are not your standard Tim Holtz alcohol inks or Ranger inks. If you have those inks, you can still do this process, but I would encourage you to sort of practice a little bit. You might need to do a different like base. I didn't find that the alcohol inks worked quite the same way. I prefer these. These are Brea Reese. Let me see if I can find one that's got the label a little more clear. Yeah. So these are Brea Reese. Some of them are glitter inks and some of them are alcohol inks. And I think that they work really, really well in this project. So if you have these, I would encourage you to use these. If you have the Ranger inks, I cannot promise that they will work the exact same way on the gesso, because alcohol inks, I think, need like maybe a shinier surface. So I'm not sure exactly what to tell you. You could try it right on top of the notebook cover without the gesso. I'm not sure if they would stick. Maybe they would. I don't know. That's a question for another day. I'm going to use these Brea Reese ones. And I'm not very precise about anything that I do, so I'm definitely not going to be precise about this. I'm just kind of going to blur some of these on here. And then I used a little bit of water to kind of water them down and move them around a little bit. Actually, I think I had the page already wet from the watercolors, is probably how I did it last time. So I started out with the page wet. So let me just try that. Let me just kind of wet this whole thing down a little so there's water on it. And I'm going to stick with the palette of mostly pinks, purples, and blues. I'm going to stay away from the oranges and yellows. Gosh, I can't even open this. Oh, it is absolutely stuck. All right, well, what other do I have? I've got rose. Oh, they're all stuck. Ah, that hurts my hands. Yikes. So you can see that the colors react differently on the paper. And also be careful because you can scrape the gesso off with the tip of the alcohol ink if you're not careful. Um, so I'm just like, these are kind of blooming the way you would expect watercolor inks to bloom in the water. The blue definitely did not do that. But maybe that's because I put it down and it wasn't wet. Maybe, yeah, there we go. If I put it down in the water, then it blooms a little differently. So just gonna, I'm just kind of spreading these colors around. The idea is that I really do want to cover this entire page eventually with color, and I want the colors to kind of blend into each other a little bit. I mean, not blend, but like run into each other and then like butt up against each other. These areas where the colors meet are going to be the areas where I add in like the border in either black or gold. And that'll make a little more sense later when we get to that step. But for now, I want the colors to touch, but not necessarily blend. I really want to get this color open. I'm going to pause this and go in my kitchen and get one of those like jar opener things that's like rubber and see if that helps. Okay, so I managed to get this off with a paper towel of all things. I'm gonna kind of looking at my paper to see it's still pretty wet. So I'm gonna go in with this darker color in just a few places. And I'm gonna add in, I'm gonna go in with this purple. The purple is really dark, if I remember correctly. So let that take up some space. This kind of looks terrible, right? But we know that sometimes that is the case, and sometimes we have to like give it a chance to kind of come together before we judge. So if you are considering whether you want to stop watching this video because it looks horrific, give me a chance, okay, before you decide, because I promise it's going to come together. I am going to use a little bit of the glitter ink. I have some blue glitter and some, I mean, it's like a magenta, like a deep, deep red. It doesn't actually have a color on it. Oh, it says crimson. That is the tiniest font ever. Okay. I had to take my glasses up off of my head to see it. That's how you know you're getting old, folks. The glasses come up on top of your head so that you can see the font that's super close up. Yeah. Yep. So I'm gonna just kind of like, this is the glitter ink and it doesn't bloom quite the same way, but I'm gonna just use it to sort of um, create some like borders maybe on the page. Oh, the gesso is like peeling up right here. I'll come back to that in a minute. All right. And then, oh, that didn't go on straight. Oh, you have to be so careful with these inks because if you leave the lids off even a little bit, they will leak everywhere and they will cause havoc. They stain everything. Oh my gosh, I have to tell you, I was putting some things away in the den, because I was putting all the Christmas stuff up. I know that I don't like this big circle here, so I'm gonna go in and like break that up a little bit with some of this blue. Um, yeah, I know it's like super late to be putting away my holiday stuff, but life just gets away from you sometimes, and we just hadn't done that yet. So I was putting some holiday stuff up, and there was a pile of papers that was like sitting on a hutch in my den that had been there since before the holidays, and it was just there taking up space. So I picked it up to move it, yesterday, and it was stuck to the hutch. And then I started like investigating, like why is this stuck? And the candles behind the paper were also stuck, and the books that were stacked like behind the candles were also stuck. I had a container of puzzle glue that had somehow tipped over, and the entire contents of the puzzle glue had spread out all across the top of my hutch, and everything was stuck down in this like giant glue lake. And it's just like a corner of the hutch that, I mean, a corner of the den that we don't spend a lot of time in. And the light is sort of in the other corner of the room. And I just hadn't noticed it. Um, so I'm trying to like peel that up without taking the finish off of the hutch. It is just a like a black paint finish. I finished it myself a few years ago, so I'm not like worried about the it's not like wood grain, and it's not like being like completely damaged forever. It's just black paint that I like distress painted. Um so if it comes off, I can fix it, but I'm trying to not do that because the last thing I need in my life right now is like a furniture refinishing project. Um but yeah, I did not see that coming. I did not expect that puzzle glue would do that. It's interesting. That's all I can say. So be careful with your puzzle glue, folks. It can cause havoc. All right, so I have like a big puddle right here that's kind of you can see it like flowing around the page. That's causing some interesting things to happen. And then I have some areas where there's not much happening. Like these pink areas, these light pink areas are kind of drying a little bit. Um, I don't wanna like move it too much. It's very dark. Um, but that's okay. That's okay. I can do some writing in white instead of in black. And I am peeling, alcohol ink is peeling the gesso up in a few places. It's kind of hard to see. I'm going to try and dry this. Actually, let me go along with this edge. I want to get the edge like get this all the way to the edge, all the way down. I'm going to try and dry it, and then we'll come back, and maybe I'll be able to show you how the gesso is peeling up after it's dry. Right now, I'm afraid to pick it up. It's going to drip everywhere, and it's going to end up all over my desk. So I'm just trying to make sure that there's like good coverage everywhere before I do that. It's definitely dark. It's much darker than the other one that I did. The colors are darker and more vibrant, which is good. It's not, yeah. All right, I'll be back. All right, so this is dry-ish. There are still some areas where the ink was kind of thick that are not 100% dry to the touch. And to be honest, this whole cover will need a coat of clear acrylic. I have some spray that is not within reach right now, but I have some spray that I use because this will come off on your hands and on like your surfaces. So if you do this and you use these products, you absolutely will need to do a clear acrylic coat before you can really use this or handle it. I'm not going to do the back on camera just because it's already taking a long time. This is a pretty lengthy process. But I will come back and share in maybe another video what I end up doing on the back. So you can see that this is kind of a mottled blue and pink and deep red. Um, it's more pink, I guess, on screen than red. The colors don't show up quite on the camera accurately, but let me kind of zoom in here. This kind of effect where the ink thickens up and creates kind of a dark outline around the edge where it dries is what inspired me the first time around to go in and add those lines, like you might get in, let me see, trying to find something within reach. This is not the best example, but I like the mineral look. Here's maybe another one that kind of gives you where you've got like the layers that sort of like bump up against each other. This is again not the best example of what I'm trying to achieve, but hopefully you can picture kind of in your mind, you've seen something that looks like this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this tiny fine tip bottle, and I bought these probably just on Amazon. It is important, I think, to get the tiniest tip that you can get for this project. I'm using an acrylic ink. This happens to be De La Rowney black, but I've got other brands. Really, any brand works. So I am just going to put some of this ink into my fine tip bottle. And I do keep, I will say, like, I keep this ink in the bottle on my desk, but I don't use it super often. And it tends to, I guess, because it's not like completely airtight the way the original bottle is, or maybe just because there's so little in here, it does tend to like dry up. Um, and then it's not really usable anymore. So I just am kind of, I just put like 3 squirts of ink in here. And I'm going to go in, let me bring you down so you can see maybe what I'm doing. I'll start right here because this is a really easily noticeable. Actually, hold on. I'm going to put you back up because I just realized before I do this step, I want to put some writing in, and I'm hoping that it's dry enough. Um, I'm going to try some writing in black, and I liked the idea of writing in white as well. So I have a whiteout pen nearby too. I'm going to try that. But over these light areas, like where it's a little bit lighter, I'm going to just do some like scratchy handwriting here. I'm trying to think about 2026 and kind of what I want the year to be, what I want to happen this year, and some intentions that I want to put out there. And I want that sort of incorporated here in the journal cover. You won't be able to read it. I won't be able to read it even later, but I think it's important to be thoughtful in creating and kind of put your spirit into it. Like I have pages where I am like angry and venting. And even though I don't know what the words say, when I look back at that page, I remember how I felt when I was making it. And I want this to feel calm and happy. I want it to feel optimistic and open to adventure. I'm also focusing in 2026 on the idea of doing less, like maybe not taking on so much, slowing down a little bit, being really particular about what I agree to and what I say no to. So I'm going to put those ideas, that energy into making this cover, and hopefully every time I pick it up throughout the year, it will kind of help to remind me, even just subconsciously, that that's what my focus was. But there is some of the handwriting. It's very scribbly. I have sort of developed this handwriting over the years that even I can barely read when I come back to it. But it is here. It's on the page, and I did sort of create kind of a triangle. I have it in like 3 different places on the page, so it feels cohesive. I'm going to go back in with the white because I just want to try it. I want to see how it looks on some of the darker areas with some white writing. These whiteout pens, I always get like dried whiteout at the tip and kind of have to clean it off and try it out a little bit. And you have to squeeze harder than you think sometimes to get it to go. So if you're trying a whiteout pen like this and you can't get it to come out, you really sometimes have to like squeeze it. Although then you end up with a big blob of white. That's so be careful. Practice on a separate sheet of paper before you do it. I've already got lots of ink on my paper, but I'm trying not to like smear it, so this is going to be challenging. Maybe I'll ooh, put like a little tissue down for me to like set my hand on because I need a little bit of steadiness. So the white is not working super well. I gotta tell you, the whiteout pen does not like writing on the surface, and I'm trying to keep it really like thin. I don't want like a big, thick, bold white text. And that's not doing great. But I've got some on there now, so I'm gonna like spread it around. I'm just gonna do smaller chunks of text. Um, So I'm just doing like little bits. And what I try to do is think about where my like edges are going to be, and I'm writing around the like I'm not trying to cross over those edges. So it looks like a piece with writing bumps up against a piece without writing. I don't know if that's clear or if that makes any sense. Um so I don't have a lot of the white on there because I'm not really loving it. But I wanted it to be in more than one place. So it doesn't look like a mistake that it's here and not anywhere else. It's just smaller text. And honestly, what I can already see happening in some places is that the color is seeping up into the white. Like the whiteout is picking up the color below. I don't know if that's really clear on the camera. So I think that by the time this is done, and once I put everything else on here, I think it's going to be you're not going to notice the white. So even though I don't love it right now, I think it's fine. It's going to just be part of the, excuse me, part of the background. Now I'm going to bring you down a little bit closer so you can hopefully see what I'm doing. And I'm using the fine liner with the black ink in it. And I'm holding this very loosely. I want my lines to be squiggly and messy and not really neat, but I do want to try to kind of like I'm sort of outlining some of these spaces, right? Like where the colors are coming. And then I don't want like a single line. I want it to look um kind of broken. So I'm adding in like additional um right. I'm going like back over it so that it's like not and this is actually even a little thick. I would like to like drag just without I'm trying to tilt this. Okay. Let me talk through what I'm doing. I'm tilting the book up like at an angle. And that way I don't have to tilt my bottle down. And so there's no actual ink coming out, but I'm just using the tip to drag it through the ink that's already on the page. And that gives me really, really thin lines. And that allows me to create really thin detail um, on the page. Okay. So this is what that looks like. And this one is maybe a little bit overdone because I got kind of carried away while I was like explaining. I probably wouldn't do it quite this elaborate all the way around, but let's do another spot. We're gonna do there's like this big purple area and then there's some pink here. So we're just gonna kind of I don't like that round shape, like it's too round. So I'm gonna like mess up the edge a little bit so that it's not so right? So it's not so like such a regular shape. I'm going to just bring it in here, add that in. I'm going to connect over here, kind of drag that. It's like a vein. That's the words that we're looking at, right? With when we talk about like rocks and minerals, we talk about like a vein of something else. Um, so I'm just kind of moving around the page, trying to outline very roughly some of the shapes that are already there. In some places, it's going to get like heavy and dark, and other places, it's super light. Um, all right. So I'm not doing the entire page. I'm just kind of like picking areas where I want this because I'm going to come back in and do another round of this, but I'm going to do it with gold ink. And that is going to create some even cooler effects. We're going to do the exact same process. I'm kind of off the page here, sorry. Mhm. I'm just tilting the page and the tip of the fine line bottle however I think I need to. Okay, so here's what I've got right now. See, it's already starting to come together a little bit better, right? It looked so like crazy and chaotic earlier, but I think these black lines really bring it together and really just make it look intentional. I want to go off of the edge over on this side because I don't have anything over here and it feels very like unconnected. So I'm gonna just go in, trace some lines over here. I want this to go off the page and then maybe over here I'll come down and off the page. Just looking at the overall design and what the page looks like and kind of like trying to give it some balance. Um, I don't have anything down here in this corner, so rather than pull this across, I think I'm going to go over here with this piece. I'm going to kind of bring it down. Okay. All right, I like it. I'm going to leave this. I'm going to dry it. I'll pause you and dry this, and then I'm going to come back in and I'm going to do something similar with gold. I'll be right back. Okay, it is mostly dry. I'm very impatient and I actually only have about 15 more minutes to work because it is Sunday and I'm going to make breakfast in a little bit. So I have an alarm on my phone to make sure that I don't spend too much time in the studio because it's easy for me to get like sucked into this project and then I will never get out of it again. I have a couple of different options for gold. I do have some Brea Reese liquid gold, but I'm just going to say, I don't think that this is going to work on this project. It's going to spread too much. I also have Ken Oliver liquid metal. This is saffron. And this actually has worked well in the past on other projects. So I'm going to just try it out on like a corner and see if I like it. Because I'm not sure if I will. And I don't know if I can nope, definitely not. That was an easy no. Maybe I need to like shake it up better. Let me try again. Well, I got a little blob. That's okay. I'm going to put sprinkles on here anyway. Yeah, still no. I don't like it. It's too transparent. And I don't want transparent. I don't want it like layering over the color. I mean, I don't want it like blending into the color. I want it layering over the color. And it just wasn't giving me what I wanted there. So, all right. So I have Liquitex acrylic ink, which I think this is possibly what I'm going to end up going with. And I just have another fine liner bottle. I can't seem to find the one that I used to have gold ink in, so I'm just going to start with a new one. The other option, really, and maybe I could try this before I make a mess with this ink and this bottle, I could try this chrome marker in gold. This does a pretty good job. I'm just not sure how it will write over top of the, I'm not sure how it will write over top of the alcohol ink. I don't want to like ruin the marker. Let's see. I need to put it down. I can't hold it up and do this. So I hope this is close enough for you to be able to see what's happening. Where do I want some gold? I kind of like the gold to be in different places, but then bump up against and run alongside of the black. I'm trying to find a place where I can try this out without, I'll just start down here in the corner. I mean, this is actually pretty good. It's not as, it's not as like free as like the lines are too controlled, I think, because it's a marker. And I'm like holding it and it doesn't like flow. It's like much more, it's like hard to get wiggly lines that feel like organic. Maybe I have to hold the marker way back here and try it. Let's see. No, because then I don't get enough pressure on the page for the, and it kind of like catches, so it ends up being, yep, nope, this is just the experiment failed. Okay. I like it and it would work. If this is all you have, then you could absolutely use this. I think that it would work. It just isn't going to give me quite the same feeling as the black lines, and I just want them to match. I like that that sort of like organic, like I don't quite know what's going to happen feeling. This is a very yellow gold. So you may prefer a different brand of gold ink that gives you a different color. It really will depend on the color of your background and what you think is going to work well with that. You could use any metallic. You could use white. I might even do some white. Although, again, the white does have a tendency to just like pull up the color from the layer below it. I did do some white splatters. Let me pull this over. I did some white splatters here and you can barely see them because they just soaked up the color underneath. So this one worked a little bit better. I think if I'm going to do white, I think I would want to do the acrylic glaze, like the clear spray acrylic, and then do the white splatters maybe over top of that. Maybe that will work better. How are we doing? Like in terms of comparison. I think we're getting there, right? We have like a similar vibe happening. This one is definitely more like blue and purple. Um, I like it. I'm gonna do some gold. I'm gonna add some little shimmery details with this gold ink. I didn't put a lot in here. There's just barely any ink in here. Um, but I want to come in and try to like capture this a similar feeling. Oh, you get a much finer line with this too. I like that. And well, no, picking up some of the ink. Mhm. So I'm kind of going along where some of the black lines are and just edging it with the gold. So I think that creates like an interesting like marbled effect. I got some of these like, and then it sort of connects. Oh, I just got a notification that my battery is low. Oh, all right, fix that. I don't want to lose my recording in the middle of recording because I would not be happy with that. Right, so I'm not doing a lot of gold. It's definitely there's less gold than black, but there's just a little bit to kind of like catch the light. That's maybe a little more than I wanted. Just a little bit to catch the light. All right, I've got a little bit of gold left in here, but it's not enough to really do anything useful with. So I'm just gonna like make some splatters. These are pretty big splatters. Oh well. All right. I'm going to dry this because I want the gold to dry. And I'll be right back. Okay, the gold is not completely dry. The lines are mostly dry, but the splatters aren't. But I do think that I want to add some white ink in before I do the acrylic layer because I want some white splatters behind my focal images that I'm going to stencil on. And I need to put the acrylic over the stencil. I don't want to do 2 layers of acrylic because I have to take it outside and spray it, and it's really cold outside, and it's going to take a long time to dry. And I've got 6 minutes left before my timer goes off, and I have to walk away. So I'm just going to put some white down, and it's okay if it pulls up some of the color. I'm all right with that at this point. I'm using a fan brush, and my strategy for doing splatters is to put the ink on the fan brush, and then the thicker the ink, the more like the bigger splatters you'll get. So I'll start by just doing some splatters, and I'm going to just use what I've got. Actually, this is coming out pretty good. Sometimes the ink is too thick. I think because my brush was in the water when I pulled it out. Sometimes the ink is too thick and you get really blobby splatters, and you have to water the paint down a little bit. And when I need to do that, I'll put sometimes it works better with acrylic paint too, but I'm using ink this time, so maybe that's why it's another reason why it's just working. So I'll put the paint on, and then I use my little sprayer and just spray the brush, like not over my painting. I'll kind of turn off to the side to do it. But just showing you on camera, that's what I do. I use this little, whoops, I use this little spray bottle full of water. It's just a little like Walmart sprayer. So I don't need to do that this time because the white is coming out fine, I think. Like it's turning out the good size splatters without doing that. I do think this adds a lot of dimension. I love splatters. I'll probably do some in black as well. Okay. So I've got some white splatters kind of scattered across the page. You might not be able to see it as well on camera. It's really, really neat. It is pulling the color up, but it's leaving like lighter spots. So they're not necessarily white, but they are lighter purple or lighter blue. Um, and I kind of love that. I've got a lot of white ink left on my page though. Just go heavy on the splatters in some areas. How's that? It kind of helps to make the writing look a little more um, connected. Like, okay, that's it. I'm gonna wipe that out. And while I'm at it, I'm just gonna do some. I did the gold with the big splatters from the thing, but I'm gonna do some gold, lighter splatters as well. So I've got some variation. Um, Again, these are, when you're working on something like this, the subtle details, they don't jump right out at you, but you're building like a background, you're building layers of just interest, visual interest. So every inch of this page, no matter where I look on the page, there will be something to look at. And the fact that they are just splatters means that they also, even though they are interesting if you focus in, if you focus out, they fade into the background and they don't take away from your focal image. So I think that that's one of the reasons why I like repetitive mark making, color layering on a page, things like splatters. I'm just doing some black too while we're at it. Might as well. Let's just splatter away. This will probably be about the last thing that I do today. And then I'm going to just let it air dry and I'll come back maybe this afternoon or maybe tomorrow and I'll do the focal image and then finish this video. I'm gonna put it on hold. Oh, see, look, I'm not splattering any black. I don't think I have either enough ink or it's not wet enough. Let's see. Yeah, the black is just not like showing up. Let me try a little water on it. Ooh. And make it wetter. I'll get bigger splatters. Mm. I don't know. I'm not thrilled. What happens if I'm gonna probably regret this, aren't I? If I try to like splatter with this, I'm gonna get like probably gonna get like really big, like blobby. That's okay. It's okay. This is kind of what I was looking for. I wanted like more um interest on the page. Like the little tiny splatters were too tiny. So I'm doing a few big ones in a couple areas. And then I can go in with the little ones and at least it'll feel like more cohesive. This is working pretty well. Okay, so I've got some big blobs. Perfect. Not too big. And then I'm just re-wetting my brush. I didn't even put any more ink on it. I just got it wet with water and that will like water the ink down a little bit so I can do some more splatters around those areas. Okay. It looks like a lot. It definitely does look like a lot. So the next step is to put a focal image over top of this. And that way, we've got all this visual interest. That's my alarm. It's time for me to get up from my desk and head into the kitchen. I really love cooking breakfast on Sundays. Those of you who know me in real life, there are probably a few of you out there who do. Um, I lost my mom. Um, it'll be it'll be 10 years this year, later this year. I lost my mom 10 years ago and we always did like a big family breakfast, but we only did it a few times a year. And so it felt really special when we had like a big, like pancakes and bacon and toast and eggs and potatoes. And, it was like it was a big deal. And I wanted to do something like that for my kids. Like after my mom passed away, I wanted to do it sort of in honor of her. And I just started doing it every Sunday. Because I didn't want it to just be a couple of times a year. I wanted to do that like every week, like to just have that like special time together with them and with her. We light a candle and put it on the breakfast table when we eat sometimes, to kind of just remind me, you know what I mean, that she's like still around, still hanging out and like keeping us company from wherever she is and it helps us like as a family sort of like stay together and like the boys are older now and they're adults and they aren't always able to make it but usually there are at least three of us around the breakfast table and I love I get like stressed out sometimes because I have a lot of other things to do and life. But I don't know. I'm not ready to give it up yet. So I'm gonna just keep spending my Sundays cooking. All right, folks, I'm gonna dry this and I'm gonna head into the kitchen. I will see you at some later point, but through the magic of editing, it's gonna feel like just 2 seconds on your end. So I'll see you soon. So it's actually only been like 30 seconds since I paused this video, but I did want to hop back on kind of to laugh at myself. I was sitting here like drying the page And then I realize I'm getting ready to walk away from my desk for the next 2 or 3 hours. So why am I wasting time with my heat gun trying to dry this? I'm going to just let it dry naturally. So just thought I would share that with you guys so you could laugh at me too. I'll see you later, folks. Hi there, I am back. It is several hours later, actually, and I've had we finished breakfast and prepped some for dinner and took a nap, which turned into 2 hours instead of 20 minutes. But I guess if I needed a nap, I needed a nap. So this is what I've got right now. This is the so far finished product. The color is not. I don't know. I don't know why sometimes the color shifts on camera. I wonder if I can change my lighting. Oh, that's way too blue. That's maybe no, it's still very blue. The the um the real one is more like pink and purple than what's showing up on camera. On camera it's very blue, which I feel like is a common problem that I face with colors being captured correctly. Anyway, I really love it, but you can see that it's not dry yet because I had kind of cleaned my hands. The alcohol ink really does stain, but even just touching it and picking it up a little bit, it comes right off on your fingers. So you do have to do that clear coat over the end, but I'm gonna put my cover on. So here's what I think I'm gonna do. I'm going to do this. I think I'm gonna do this row of birds, and I can fit 6 birds across the top. And then I'm gonna put the words love life. And I don't think I want to center them. I think I want them to be a little bit off center, so I might do them over here. Um, or it's really coming off. All right. So that's what I'm gonna do. And I'm gonna do it in black. Um, Here, this is what I've got. Heidi Swap metallic texture paste, black. So I'm gonna try this. I think I don't know. I might not work. I might have to go back over it with black paint because this is kind of gray. I have black gesso, don't I? Somewhere. Actually, I think I took it into the studio where I teach. So I don't think I have black gesso here. So I'm just gonna do this, and then if it's not enough, I will do another coat or go back over it with black paint or outline it with white or something. So I'm just going to squish some of this out. Yeah, it's very gray. This is not like black. Um, so I think that might be a bit of a challenge. Maybe I can add some black. So I've got golden fluid acrylics. Maybe if I mix some black into it at this stage, then I won't have to spend so much time later doing that. How am I going to mix it? I'm going to use the back of a paintbrush. Which seems like a very precise way to do things. All right. I need like a sponge. Do I have any of those handy? So I don't know if this is frugal or just lazy, but I have a bunch of sponges, makeup sponges that I keep and then don't throw them away. So I'm gonna try one of these. This is my least favorite part of this process because putting this black paint and gesso through the stencil, that's the word, it's so tedious. I probably will speed you up for this. I'm gonna just put a little bit of tape. I'm afraid to tape it anywhere because I don't want to take the paint off, but I think I'm gonna wrap the tape over the cover and tape it to the inside of the front cover. So that way it'll at least won't pull too far away. Oh, and look, that's fun. Okay. We'll start with this, the paint that I just smeared up with my wrist. Yeah, the coverage is not fantastic. I can already see like the color coming through. I'm trying to make like a thicker uh, coat. We'll see. At least this is not like a huge stencil. Although I feel like by the end of it, I'm going to feel it anyway. This is not great for my hands or my wrists. I do think that I am sort of in the early stages of arthritis or carpal tunnel or something, because I like lose grip strength and my hands get really achy, especially if I'm like driving for long distances and gripping like the steering wheel, or I'm trying to do anything like this where I have to like really pinch my fingers together. I haven't actually gone to a doctor and gotten anything diagnosed, and I haven't looked it up too carefully online because I'm afraid of what I'll find. But I suspect that it's not supposed to be that way. Um, I'm just going to carry on as long as I can doing what I'm doing before I have to follow up and see what's up. Yeah, I think I'm gonna need to would let this dry a little bit and do a second coat. It's not it's not covering real well, even with like a thicker coat. Let me pick this up so you can see. Um, you can still see like the color coming through. So some of these were a little bit better. I guess I had more paint and a little bit of a thicker coverage. So I'm gonna try going over it a little bit more thickly, and then maybe I will dry it and see if a second coat helps. Dry it. Yeah, paint, put it on a little more thickly. Did I say that? I feel like in my head it didn't sound right, but maybe I said it the right way out loud. It's like my recording that records and listens to myself back, not my like actual recording, the one that happens in my brain. Sometimes that one's like a little behind and it doesn't, and then what I've said doesn't sound quite right in review. This is a very precise process. I'm making a huge mess on my paintbrush by doing this. Oh well. All right, so let's add. Yeah, that's all I needed. I just needed more paint on my sponge to get a thicker coat. That's covering better. I'm still not sure how well this will stand out. What I suspect is that the background is going to be very, very busy, and it's going to be hard to. Oh, it's going to be hard to maybe make out the birds. Um, so I think what I had to do on the back of my 2025 journal was add some like white highlighting around the outside of the stenciling to make it really pop against the background. And so I am prepared to have to do that. All right, ready for the reveal? Let's peel it up. See, it looks good, but it just doesn't like stand out. Like there's not enough contrast. So that's okay. I'm sorry, I'm going to leave it as is and we'll add our contrast in later. Ridiculous. Nice. Just rip the paper off of the inside of the journal. Fantastic. All right. Um, and then I think I'm going to put this over here. Like I said, I don't want it perfectly centered. I want it a little bit offset. And I'm trying to like bump it up so that it's close to where these birds are. I'm just going to use the same piece of tape. I just ripped off part of the inside cover and we'll just rip off a little more. I'm just going to put it here. It's not going to be perfect, but it'll just keep it from like coming off entirely, hopefully. All right, back to it. This is harder because the pieces won't pop. I'm going to need more paint. I'm just going to prep it right now and give myself enough to get this whole thing finished before I get started, because otherwise I'm going to have to stop halfway through. And we're already at an hour and 2 minutes, although that is unedited footage, and I will be cutting a few things out and maybe speeding them up, but not a lot, not enough. Oh, it is 4 o'clock. Uh-oh. Um, all right, I need to finish this quickly. I have stuff in the kitchen that needs to happen at 4 o'clock, so I'm on borrowed time here, making a mess again. All right. I will probably need to outline this as well with white or with something lighter. And I think in order to make that happen, I'm going to have to do the spray acrylic layer to the clear coat over the background before I can put any white on, or it's just going to soak into the background and then I'm not going to be able to, it's not going to do what I need it to do, which is stand out against the background. So I think this is another part of the project that is going to have to wait. Like I'm going to have to take it outside and spray it. And it's actually raining today. So I don't think I can do that at all today because it's too smelly after you spray it to bring it back inside. Like the glue has a lot of like odor. It's really strong. And so I usually leave it outside after I spray it and let it dry before I bring it back inside. And today it is raining outside and there's not really anywhere where I can put this to dry. Maybe out in the garage. Probably not a great plan. So I might just wait till tomorrow. Tomorrow is Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and I am off campus. Campus is closed, so I have an extra day. I do have several creative projects, as well as some baking for a bake sale fundraiser. So I have quite the to-do list already for tomorrow, but I might have to finish this on that list. Almost there. Almost there, and then I will peel up this and we'll see kind of what it looks like. It's not going to be perfect. I feel like some of this needs to dry and then get a second coat. Like this is not very thick in some places, like the same problem that I was having up here. But I'm trying to hurry up and I don't want to take time to stop and dry it. But when I put more down, it just kind of picks up what was already there. Like I need it to dry in order to make it any thicker. Well, let's peel this over though. Yeah, see, you can't even, oh, well, I'm gonna get paint everywhere. You really can't even see that against the background. I mean, you can, but you can't, right? Hmm. So let's just experiment a little bit with this whiteout pen. And I know it's not dry and it's not finished, but let's just see if this helps. It's hard to talk and do this at the same time, so I'm sorry you guys are getting just some silence. Getting a very smooth application with this whiteout pen. I'm gonna have to go in and touch this up quite a bit, I think. I think it's very hit or miss. I'm having a hard time with the. Is that making it easier to see? I can't even tell, honestly. I'm not sure that it is. Okay. I think it looks terrible. Um, because that white line is so like wonky. Like I really was struggling with the whiteout pen, and I probably need to go in and redo that to make it like smoother. Um, it is also starting to pull out the color from underneath, so all of that work um is gonna go for nothing. But that's okay. Um, it's all right. It's part of the process. No worries. We'll figure it out. I do wish that it was more visible against the background, but I knew that that was the risk I was taking. Um, I did the same. Where's the other one? I did do the same thing here with this one, and you can see in order to make it stand out that there's like white painted around all of the letters to sort of lighten the background and make them stand out better. So this is even darker than this is, so I'm gonna really need to go in with some more white, but that's okay. Um, I don't like what's here, but it's an experiment and we're learning and we're figuring it out as we go. So I'm gonna call this for now. I wish I had like a complete finished, but I'm gonna have to stop and re-record tomorrow. I guess I can do that and then I'll include it all together in the same video eventually. I'll just edit it together. I'm just impatient and I don't like to do that because then I have like 3 videos on my computer and I have to remember in what order they go and how to edit them together, and it's too much thinking for me. I want this to be less thinking. Um but maybe I'll do that. I will go ahead and stop now and I will come back later with the finished product. And we'll do like the last bit maybe together, or maybe I'll just show you that I've done it. We'll see. We'll see. Okay, I am back and I'm going to try to do this part quickly because I did spray this with my clear acrylic sealer and it smells terrible. It's still wet, as you can see, and it needs to go out in the garage to dry, probably for a week before I'll be able to stand the smell. But here's what it ended up looking like. I've got the white in the background around the words, and it kind of mutes the background enough that the words really kind of pop out, and the birds at the top as well. I did lose some of the detail of the marbling. Um, it's kind of muddied behind the white like sheen, but I am going to do the back in the same pattern, and I probably just won't put any focal point. It'll just all be the same color, the same marbling on the back. So I'm going to do that eventually. It'll be a fun project someday when I need something mindless to do. And I'm pretty excited about my 2026. Oh, I should write 2026 on here. I didn't do that. Uh-oh. All right, hold on. Really, really quick. I need to do this quickly because I cannot express to you how badly this stuff smells. Why can't I open my paint? It must have like stuck paint on here. Uh, isn't that how it always goes when you're in a hurry? Like, there's always something that sort of gets in your way. Just taking some black. It was golden liquid acrylic, and I'm just gonna write over here in this corner. I'm just gonna write 2026. All right, so I've just got 2026 down here in the bottom corner. It's not my prettiest handwriting ever, but it will get the job done. All right, folks, thanks so much for joining me today for this. I'm excited to spend the year filling this notebook up. It's almost the end of January now, so I've got some catching up to do, but I wanted to get the cover done first, and there's just been a lot of other stuff going on. So follow along if you want to see me continue my like memory keeping, creative, weekly journaling, whatever you want to call it. If that's something that you're interested in and you like to follow along, then you are welcome to join me in 2026 for more of the same. Thanks for being here. I will see you in the next video. Have a great day, folks.